Changing minds one thought at a time.
Greetings, and welcome to Motivate Social Podcast, where we bring you people who are changing the world via social media. Today we have an awesome guest, and you know what? Vanessa, why don't you tell us who we're talking to today?
Wow. Today we are meeting with an amazing lady who I met via social media. And I cannot stop talking about the amazing things that she's doing and how she's changing lives all over the world via social media. LeTonya Moore is a woman who wants to be able to leave a lasting impression on others, to know that it's possible to go after your greater, to be able to accept and own your purpose. And so without further ado, let's go ahead. LeTonya, please tell us more about you and how are you changing lives via social media?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Finch and Vanessa, for having me on the show. It is really a great honor to be amongst giants, social media, life-changing giants, so I really love it. It's really interesting because for years I always thought that social media was just a big intrusion into everyone's lives. It's everywhere. It's on your iPad. It's on your phone. It's everywhere. Until I started to realize that it was a great way to connect directly with people, especially because for me it was very important to start putting out positive messages. And so once I embraced that, I had the opportunity to meet, like Vanessa said, Vanessa and I met via social media. We still have not met face-to-face, but we connected via social media. I've also connected with a lot of other ladies, and what social media has allowed me to do is to really start a community of women who are all going in the same direction of inspiring others. And so it really helped us really just catapult our She Matters Ambassadors movement. So I'm really grateful for that.
Oh, my goodness. Now tell us more about this ambassador. How do we get on, and how does that help the community?
Well, again, really awesome. So the She Matters Ambassadors community, it is a global network. Of course, people hear She Matters and then they think, well, it must just be for women. But it's really not just for women, but it is for people that are dedicated to making the lives of women and girls positive and having that positive impact. And so what I like about it is that it's not just about pouring. We all want to pour into other people's lives. But the biggest part for me is that it is now our direct reach is probably about 200,000 people. And so Matters in She Matters is an acronym, and it stands for Motivates, Activates, Transfigurates, Terminates, Educates, Radiates, and Subjugates. And what that means is that anyone that connects to our community has the opportunity to be a part of that mission. And we have been fortunate to actually connect with Her2 Media Network, who has a direct network of women in about 52 countries. The main countries are the U.S., the U.K., Canada, Nigeria, Republic of Ireland, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. Those are the main countries. And between all of those, just with that network, I had to find this out, but it actually represents roughly about 6 million women worldwide. So anyone that's connected with this network, with this community, would have access to not just that network, but even our direct network, which works out roughly about 200,000 people. So that's really exciting. anyone that wants to be a part of it, right now we're asking everyone to go to our Facebook page. Again, that's She Matters Ambassadors Facebook page, like the page, and we're actually going to start building our community from there.
That is phenomenal, because sometimes we get so caught up in the things that we do in our everyday life, and we forget that we do matter. And I've done that many times. And so the movement that you're making is powerful, but not only powerful, it just reinforce that. Make sure you include yourself, because you do matter. So I'm loving what you're doing. Now, what's the next steps that you're going to be taking with She Matters? Will there be an event that's taking place? Would it be a book? Because that sounds like a book too.
Uh-oh.
What's the what's next? What's the next big thing? Because I know when you do something, it's going to be something that's going to be amazing since the time that we connected. So let the audience know, what's the next thing that's going to take place with She Matters?
Wow. So we are sponsoring a lot of monthly topical virtual, I call them virtual. So the very next thing is actually going to be a forum about, it's called The Woman's Place from a Man's Perspective. And it's really about how men view women in relationships, number one. But number two, a couple of our guests, I would say, have some radical viewpoints. Of course, this is from a man's perspective, and we're going to respect the fact that it is just a perspective. That's one of the things that we're doing. And so I would tell people to be on the lookout for those monthly topical summits that we're going to be doing. We are in the process of doing a podcast called Trailblaze Her. And instead of releasing it all at one time, what we're doing, it's a very selective process, I will say, because basically the gist of it is this. We are looking for kick-ass women doing kick-ass things in the community and in the world and really making an impact in people's lives. And so everybody's just not a trailblazer. But that is a podcast that we're putting together that is going to roll out in March. So I'm really excited about that. We have some people that are just freaking awesome. So definitely look out for that. We do have the Ambassador Monthly, which is a monthly publication. We have some featured contributors, but we're certainly looking for more and more people to be a part of that. And the great thing about the Ambassador Monthly is that each featured contributor gets their own branded column. So if you are, as long as it's something that is advocating a position or providing information, again, that's positive, that's uplifting, that's inspiring, that's helpful, we also do that as well. And each month we have a feature. It's not just for women. We also have men that we will be featuring coming up. And each feature is really it's sort of the heart of what the entire publication is about that month. So again, really excited about that. And last but not least, June 23rd through 25th, we are having the Liberate Her Intensive. And I am bringing together some thought leaders in business, career. I'll be doing something there. And then we're going to have someone that is coming in really talking about the spiritual aspect of it. And the great thing about the intensive, a lot of people talk about, I'm doing a conference, I'm doing a retreat. That's all fine. I'm all for that. I'm all here for that 100%. But this is really about going in. It's really about going in and getting to that place where you say, you know what, I deserve all that life. And so our theme is You Are Worthy. And we're going to be talking about those things, but we're going to be dealing with what are those issues, what are those barriers and obstacles that have really just set up strongholds in your mind to make you think that you can't, you shouldn't. What are those things? And the sad reality is that oftentimes there are things that go all the way back to our childhood that we have to just stomp that root out and dismiss it, dismiss it forever, so that we can change our mindset to move forward. So that's going to be June 23rd through 25th. Registration is open. We do have early bird registration. Seats are very limited because we want to make sure that we can touch every single person there in a major way.
Woo, woo. You know, I like your reasoning for doing the intensive. You know, a lot of people, you know, they go to the conferences and they get poured into, but they didn't do any actual action steps. So they sometimes forget it or lose the paperwork so that they can go do it later. Versus that is the intensive. You can actually do it right then and there. You know, that is awesome. That is awesome. So what made you decide that it was time for the intensive, that it was such a time as this that you need to really get with this group and really just mold and pour into them in an interactive way?
Well, it's really exactly what you said. It's the fact that there's always an empowerment conference. There's always something going on. But what people do with those, and again, this is not bad. There's a place for that. They send you home with a checklist. They send you home with a book. They send you home with lots of things. But what about the experience? You know, we've all been in a place where we have just had such a great life-altering experience that because of that experience, we make a change. So that is what the intensive is really about. It's really about having a life-altering experience. It doesn't take a long time, but having a life-altering experience that says, you know what, I am going to make a change. Like, for example, when Vanessa and I met, one thing, she was on my podcast, and she talked about a life-altering experience that not only changed her life in a very distinct way, but it changed the whole trajectory of her career. Now she is empowering people. She's providing opportunities for people all over the world who come in contact with her. But it was because of that life-altering experience that happened. It wasn't because she read a book. It wasn't because she went to an empowerment conference. All of those things are great. But at the end of the day, when you have that experience that says, you know what, yes. The other thing, too, about Liberate Her is that it is not just one event. A lot of these things that we're doing, our conferences, our video events that we're doing, is really about it surrounds a lot of the issues that really go to the core of the things that we're dealing with. Last month, we did something called What's Behind the Behavior, and we also talked, that particular one focused on teens and kids, but more importantly, our targets were parents. Our targets were advocates so that they could understand, wait a minute, this may not just be a bad child because actions are the manifestations of something. What is that? And we're going to do a few more What's Behind the Behaviors where we look at, we really seriously look at some things that are happening so that people understand what that is. And so it's not just a one event. It is really an entire year of working with people, an entire year of impacting lives. What the Liberate Her intensive is, it is just that one time where we can all come together, go all the way in, all together, because it is going to be a 100% inclusive event. It's not going to be where you come and, you know, the four of us are just talking. No. We are going to be leading change. We are going to be leading transformation. That's what this event is.
That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. And I love that, you know, people, and I tell people all the time that you can really, really make a huge impact when you truly have walked in that experience. And now you could be able to share that experience with somebody else, is how you overcome it. Because delay does not mean denied. It's what you do with it. You know what I mean? Is what you do with it so it could propel you to the next level. And sometimes people need to be able to pull that thing out of you in order for it to be planted in the correct position so you can be able to understand that it was just made and designed for you. So I'm loving what you're doing. Please take a moment and tell people how they could be able to get connected and be involved in the message, because I've been seeing the messages that you've been putting up for the interacting conversations, because I know I've seen them and I was like, ooh, this is good. Tell people how they could be able, or when are they going to be posted so they could be involved, because when I've seen some of those, I said, please keep tagging me, because I'm loving this. I love the interaction, but at the same time, it's making people think, because sometimes people don't realize it. You know what I mean? Because we are all, we have our perspective of it, but when you really take a moment just to be able to see it from different people's views, now you're getting the wheels to turn. So tell people how they can be able and when to look out for when you have these postings so they could be able to know you need to get connected. You need to know this. Let's hear your side of it, because everybody inputs. It matters.
Absolutely. So I would say follow the hashtag daily discussion. That's going to be the easiest way to find it, because there are some time zones. I had some of my West Coast people say, well, I don't see the daily discussion until I'm already at work. Well, it's 12 o'clock, where, for us, or 11 o'clock. And so that's the biggest thing. Follow the daily discussion, hashtag daily discussion. That's number one. You can certainly like the LeTonya Moore Facebook page, but the biggest thing I would say, go to www.latonyamore.com and connect on all the social media, because that's going to be where you can stay in the know. But the specific question about that particular question, we're going to be using the hashtag daily discussion. So anyone that's looking for it, if you miss it, you can get in on it. And my Facebook page is open so anyone can comment. So it won't be a problem for anyone, even if they're not friends, to go on and comment. If they want to send a private message, they will not be able to do that if it's on my personal page. They'd have to go, of course, to the other page, or just send an email directly.
Awesome. And I know that you're going to get a lot of feedback from that. And we're looking forward to seeing all of the developments in this. But you really have me intrigued now. What made you decide to start doing your movement only on social media? Why did you decide not to start from your Facebook page or from your mailing list?
It's really interesting, because I realized that people, and I do this. Let's look at the mailing list. It may be 2 or 3 days before I open a message. When I go on my email, especially during the day in the midst of everything else that I'm doing, I'm kind of making sure that, okay, what's that I need to look at right now. So I kind of have a day each week that I go through all of my emails and clean it out. That's not really effective for something that is time intensive. The other thing, too, is that people don't really like to get emails from you every single day, even if it's something inspirational, even if it's something interactive. And people rarely interact on a major way via email. So that's why the mailing list, I decided not to do it that way. Social media, the great thing about it is that certain pockets migrate to certain social media outlets. So Facebook, for example, people expect to come and have a conversation on Facebook, not so on Twitter. They want you to say what you got to say, 140 characters, intrigue me, make me want to now go. So Twitter is more of a soundbite. And so once I started to understand what happens with each individual social media outlet, then I realized where I needed to send my message. The good thing about putting out things like the daily discussion is because for me, lots of things that I look at and lots of things that I do, I want to make sure that everything that I do, every service I provide is something that's needed, something that people are interested in, and something that's going to change their life or put their business on the right track.
Now, see,
so social media,
audience,
it was the best forum to do that.
Yeah, see, that is exactly what we try to home in on to the people. We want to make sure that they know their target audience. You know, you may want to be on this thing or you may want to be on that thing, but the people are going to tell you where they are, and you need to find them where they are and then direct them the way you want them to go. But you need to find them where they are, build them, and then move them. So that is awesome. That is awesome. So, you know, how have you been seeing the growth and the fruits of the group? Have you seen the camaraderie? Has the community really been building?
It's been building. I think that what is happening now, because throughout the years, people have known me for just doing a little bit of empowerment stuff on the side, but for the most part, people know me in the legal community, doing the things that I was doing primarily in the legal community. And now that, even though I'm still doing a lot in the legal community, my whole focus really has changed to resolving and restoring versus winning a case. I was having a conversation with a woman yesterday, and I was explaining to her that when you go to an attorney, it is to resolve a case. You go to them because you think you have a case. You don't go to an attorney because you have an issue. And people don't understand that that's how attorneys are wired. You're wired to win a case. You're not thinking about any of the underlying stuff except what does the law say with this, and is the law on my client's side? And so what I was sharing with her is that when I started to look, again, behind what's happening, it really started to make sense. Now, I can't take credit for doing that all on my own. It actually came about in one of my previous jobs where I was doing labor and employment. And I'm not going to lie, we had cases up to the Watuzel. I was telling her I had 100 cases, 40 of them was active at one time, which 40 cases does not sound like a lot, but when you're talking about litigation, you have to know every single aspect of every single case. Oh, yeah, it's a lot. But I was telling her that my supervisor at the time was saying, we got to come up with a way we got to resolve this. And so what happened was it came out of a need to move cases off of our desk, and we didn't want to see the people coming back. And so the result of it was going and learning a resolution style that really looked at the relationship and making sure, like, okay, we can resolve and win the case, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen to these people in this relationship, because we don't want them coming back. And that was something that I learned over time. So then I decided to take that with me as I left and charted out on my own. But, of course, at the end of the day, private employers, there's not that same need because most states are at will. So, hey, if you ain't working out, hit the bricks. You go home. And so when I looked at where does this work, where is their need, I started looking at the area of family law. And so from a legal aspect, that's why I'm doing most of, we call this collaborative law, where people come together and they make their own decisions. Think about it. Who in the world would ever want a stranger to make a decision that's going to impact them for the rest of their lives? Nobody. But that's exactly what we do when we put a judge in that position. When we come to a place where we say, we'll just let the judge decide, well, the judge has complete and total control about what you're going to do and what's going to happen in your life. That shouldn't be for things that impact your life. And so, again, family law, business law, things of that nature. So that's where it took me. And so now all of those things are coming together and they're marrying along the lines, and it's able to kind of cradle that empowerment piece. And so now people are starting to equate, okay, now LeTonya actually does this too. And so it's had a really great positive impact. Of course, everybody wants their list to grow, 10,000 people a day. That hasn't happened. But it's definitely tripled since we started to do this.
Wow. See, and this is, I said this several times, and we have to understand this, and I'm loving how you broke it down. You are the problem, but you are also the solution. And once we understand that, now we can be able to see exactly what you are saying. You don't want to put your problem in somebody else's hand and hope and believe that there is going to be fair. So I'm loving what you are truly doing, especially when it comes to that law aspect, because, look what's going on right now. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it. LeTonya, this has been absolutely an honor to finally get to connect to you on the podcast, because I know it's been a long time coming with our crazy schedules, and I am so glad that we were able to connect with you and just to hear your message and hear how you are impacting lives all over, especially with She Matters. Oh, my goodness. I'm loving it. What's one of the last things that you would love to leave with our audience, and just to let them know that, why, LeTonya, why you need to understand this mission, this movement that I'm doing, that it matters. Share that with somebody, because somebody is waiting to hear what you have to say, because I know you will be in contact with several people.
Well, I'll say this: we all have to understand that our purpose is not for us. And I think if we just understand that, if we just submit to that, if we just say, you know what, I am placed here because I'm supposed to serve, and my purpose serves other people. That for me is what the whole She Matters Ambassadors movement is about, because an ambassador is a person that advocates and they're a champion for something, but never themselves. Never themselves. It is such a selfless position, and that's what I want people to really understand. My personal mission, my personal message, but I think my God-sent purpose is to really help people come to a place of understanding that your purpose is never for you. That's why God gives you the purpose, but he provides the provision, but the provision should always be a benefit, never your motivation. That's it in a nutshell.
Well, thank you, LeTonya, so much for being on the show today. And if LeTonya said something that resonated with you, please find us on Change Your Minds Online. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Tuned In, and, of course, our YouTube channel. Once again, you really, really touched the people today. I know that there's a lot of people that's going to be wanting to contact you about She Matters Ambassadors. And, oh, my goodness, the nuggets you have put down, I appreciate you for that.
Okay, and thank you, ladies, so much for having me on the show.
Oh, yes.
Pleasure.
Yes, and we want to thank everyone for listening today. Please soak in these nuggets, take them, and start really reaching out. Reach out to your community. Realize that you're a trailblazer and make that happen. Be a part of the She Matters Ambassadors group and find out how you can stretch yourself to greatness. So until next time, good night, everyone.
Good night.